Look, I know I say this in like a lot of videos, but I think this video might actually be the most random collection of trains I've ever compiled into one of these. But I gotta have enough trains to get this to a decent length, so screw it. And hey, what's wrong with having a little bit of unexpected fun? Because there's so many weird things in this video, you probably have no idea what's in here. Unless you looked at the thumbnail, or read the title, or read the description. But that's just how YouTube works, and we're all gonna have to deal with it. Anyways, I need to stop ranting and get to what happened on January 7th. On this day, we were just heading to Dollar General, and I knew that we were going to cross over the CN tracks, so I brought my camcorder. And as we were approaching, we heard a horn, but not just any horn, a horn that sounded like an EMD. In an absolute frenzy of foamingness, we pulled off in Stillwell and waited a, honestly, kind of really weirdly long time by the side of the crossing in hopes that the local would eventually appear. And finally it did. And being a CN local, it of course had amazing power, with an ex-Oakway SD60 leading with a killer horn, and a zebra stripe CN ST40-2W trailing second. Wow. And my insane streak of luck continued on January 9th. On this day, we were going uptown to get haircuts, and I said, we'll just stop at the depot for a little bit, just check the signals, maybe catch one or two trains, not for any reason in particular. And literally 20 seconds after I got there, the gates went down, and I'm just going to show you what showed up. Yep, that's right. It was NS 1069, the Virginian Heritage Unit, which I had missed the previous day, and I was so glad to see it show up here randomly. And guess what? It got even better. Because after that, NS B09 showed up with a -9. And yet another example of my random out-of-the-blue streak of luck happened on January 12th. As you can see, it was the CN local again. Just like last time, we were driving to Dollar General, and when we crossed over the crossing, we found them just sitting here for some reason. And the reason was because they were being switched into a siding that they would go down to then drop off the two cars they have for interchange with the South Shore Freight. And since they were stopped here, it allowed me plenty of time to get my foot stuck in the mud and incredibly cold as the train finally began to accelerate. With the train now stopped in the yard, we headed to Dollar General to actually get the stuff we were here to pick up before heading home and finding the two sitting at the CSS interchange. I would have loved to have stopped and got more shots of them switching and just seeing them go back and, all that fun stuff. My feet were on the verge of getting frostbite from the whole getting stuck in the freezing mud thing, so we had to just settle for a quick drive-by and then leave. If you thought the rest of the stuff in this video was crazy, you are not ready for January 17th. But I'm going to keep this a little bit of a mystery. I'm not going to tell you what I came out for. I'm just going to show you as it comes. And the first of the things I didn't come out for, but was very glad I caught anyway, was 16N. Not because of the power, which was very boring, but because of the tractors it was carrying. After that was another nice bonus, the Amtrak Floridian 41 with a Phase 5 unit trailing. Next was our first westbound of the night, which I really thought was going to be one of my two targets, but no, it was 17V, the CPKC Transfer Manifest. And despite being the CPKC Transfer, it didn't have any CPKC power, but I'm very glad it didn't. Normally I welcome CPKC power, but on this case, Norfolk Southern actually managed to be better than them, because it was a full DC lash-up with a partial white-faced -9 leader. Then the first of the two targets finally showed up. NS61F, a sand train, with a full KCS lash-up, and trailing second was 4009, the saluting KCS Heroes unit, which I have seen before in Bensonville. I got some pretty decent photos, but an absolutely abysmal shot. This one was definitely better. Not to mention I only got to see the English side of it last time. The engine has English on one side and Spanish on the other, representing the American and Mexican portions of KCS. And this time I managed to see the Spanish side, which was nice. Another westbound followed shortly behind, which I was really hopeful would be my second target, but nope, it was 265 with junk power. This train has actually recently had its routing change from going over the Berkshire and Eastern to going over the CSX, but for me out here in Indiana, it doesn't really matter. It's still a boring train when it has boring power sets. Sadly, I never managed to get it when it had the Conrail and D&H Duo on it, but whatever, I've seen both those units before. Before the next target came, another eastbound came in and absolutely, utterly jump scared me. I barely made it out of the car in time. I'm glad I did though, because it was NS880 with a BNSF Ace Duo. Oh yeah. Check out this video if you want to see a much better shot of one of these. And after about an hour and a half of freezing waiting, my second and final target for this trip showed up. Another KCS unit. This time it was trailing behind a CP unit instead of a KCS one, but it was yet another sand train. The unit in question was KCSM 4542, a Grey Ghost. Grey Ghost is ugly. I hate it. It looks awful. Compared to Southern Belle, it's pathetic, but it's rare, so I have to catch it. These Grey Ghosts are getting rarer, and I don't know how long it's going to be before they all die, especially with CPKC's AC4400 CWM rebuild program. So catch them while you can. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to catch those units while you can, especially the Grey Ghosts, and I will see you in the next one.